There are moments in life when you feel buried beneath a weight of opposition. People doubt you, misunderstand you, speak against you, and work tirelessly to see you fail. Sometimes it's the people closest to you, the ones you broke bread with, the ones who smiled in your face while secretly rooting against you. They don't believe in your vision. They mock your progress, dismiss your dreams, and think they've figured out your story. They've placed a period where God has only put a comma. They think your delay means your destiny is denied. But what they didn't realize is that you serve a God who prepares a table in the presence of your enemies. This is not just about revenge. This is not about pride or ego. This is about divine justice. It's about God showing the world that He alone has the final say. When God lifts you, no one can pull you down. When God promotes you, no man, no woman, no demon in hell can stand in the way. He's not going to just bless you in private. No, God is going to bless you publicly, where the very ones who doubted you, who tried to block you, who tried to curse you, will have no choice but to watch as His favor overflows in your life. Maybe you've been laughed at. Maybe you've been overlooked for years. Maybe they didn't take you seriously. Maybe they told you that your background disqualified you. Maybe they said you weren't good enough, smart enough, holy enough. But they didn't create you. They don't sustain you. They don't own your future. God does, and He specializes in using the rejected, the broken, the last picked. Just look at David. He wasn't even invited to the anointing ceremony, but God sent for him. His own father didn't think he was worthy, but God said, that's the one. And when the time came, it was David who stood over Goliath, and it was David who became king. And all those who never saw it coming, they had to watch. There's something powerful about being vindicated without having to say a word. When God steps in, you won't need to defend yourself. You won't need to argue or prove your worth. Your success will be your statement. Your peace will be your protest. Your joy will be your answer, and your victory will be their witness. God will elevate you in such a way that even your enemies will have to admit this had to be God. Some of you are in the middle of your struggle right now. You're walking through the valley and you feel surrounded. You feel like the voices of doubt are louder than the promises of God. But hear me, you are not alone. Heaven has already spoken over your life, and though it may tarry, it shall surely come to pass. God is not a man that He should lie. If He said He will do it, He will do it. And He doesn't just want to bring you out. He wants to bring you out in front of those who never thought you'd make it. Not to shame them, but to show them who He is, that He raises up whom He chooses, that He uses the weak to confound the strong, that He exalts the humble in due season. You see, the same people who threw dirt on your name will have to acknowledge your growth. The same ones who tried to bury you didn't realize you were a seed. And when a seed is buried, it looks like it's over. It looks like it's gone. But given time, light, and water, it breaks through. It reaches higher than anyone expected. And once it starts to grow, no one can deny its presence. That's what God is doing with you. He allowed the darkness so you could develop. He allowed the silence so you could grow in strength. He allowed the isolation so He could speak to you privately before displaying you publicly. The promotion is coming. The healing is coming. The breakthrough is coming. But God's going to do it His way so that no one gets the credit but Him. So that those who thought they had the power to stop you realize they never did. So that you can walk into rooms they tried to shut. So that you can sit at tables they said you'd never be invited to. And when you do, God will make them watch. Not because He's cruel, but because He's just. Because He wants to show that no weapon formed against you shall prosper. That what He blesses, no man can curse. Sometimes God will keep you hidden until the time is right. Not because you're not ready, but because the audience needs to be seated. The stage needs to be set. Your enemies need front row seats, not to gloat over your downfall, but to witness your elevation. So don't despise the waiting. Don't get bitter in the pit. Don't grow weary in well-doing. Your season is coming. Your unveiling is coming. And when it does, it will silence every critic, erase every lie, and outshine every doubt. There's something sweet about success that's seasoned with pain. When you've cried for it, prayed for it, been broken for it, when it finally arrives, you value it differently. And the victory tastes sweeter when it comes in spite of opposition. That's why God allows resistance. That's why he allows you to go through some things, because he's building something in you that can't be shaken when the spotlight comes. He's building character, integrity, humility. So when he places you in the place of honor, you'll be able to handle it. Let him talk. Let him laugh. Let him assume. Because when God's ready, no lie, no plot, no enemy will be able to stop what's coming. God will not just bring you out. He will show you off. He will turn your test into a testimony, your trial into a triumph. He will make your enemies eat their words, not by punishing them, but by prospering you. That's the kind of God he is. He's a restorer, a God of divine reversals. You might be the underdog. You might be the one everyone counted out, but God's about to flip the script. He's about to do something in your life so undeniable, so remarkable, that even those who walked away will have to admit the hand of God is on you. They didn't see the midnight tears. They didn't see the silent battles. They didn't see the moments you almost gave up. But God did, and he kept you. And now he's about to reward you. There's a reason he didn't allow you to retaliate. There's a reason he told you to hold your peace. Because vengeance is his. And when he repays, it's righteous, it's perfect, and it always comes with clarity. He's not in a hurry, but he's never late. He was working behind the scenes, setting things in motion, aligning opportunities, opening doors you didn't even knock on. And when it all unfolds, it'll be clear. This wasn't luck. This wasn't manipulation. This wasn't favor from man. This was the hand of God. So don't be discouraged. Don't be distracted. Stay focused. Stay faithful. Stay humble. Your consistency will break through their resistance. Your obedience will outlast their opposition. And your God will do what only he can do. The very ones who said you'd never make it will watch you thrive. The ones who tried to sabotage you will witness your success. The ones who questioned your calling will see the fruit, and you won't need to say a word. Your life will speak for itself. God is going to make your enemies watch, not to shame them, but to reveal himself, to show them that he is God, that he lifts up, that he redeems, that he restores, and if he can do it for you, he can do it for anyone. Your life will become a testimony that nothing is impossible for those who believe. So hold your head high, walk boldly, dream fearlessly, love deeply, forgive freely, and trust completely, because your story is not over. Your chapter of victory is just beginning, and when it turns, it will turn in your favor so dramatically that even your enemies will say, only God could have done that. And when they watch, let them watch. Let them see the favor. Let them see the grace. Let them see the peace that passes all understanding. Because what they meant for evil, God turned for your good. Every delay, every disappointment, every betrayal, it was all part of the plan. And now your moment is coming. Your light is about to shine. And the audience, both friend and foe, will be witness to what God has done. God doesn't just work in secret. He doesn't just heal you in silence or restore you in the dark. While he often begins his work in private, there comes a time when his blessing must be revealed, when his hand must be shown, when his faithfulness must be displayed, not only for your benefit, but for the benefit of those around you, even your enemies. Psalm 23:5 says, you prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. And that verse is more than just poetic language. It's a divine principle. God intentionally chooses moments when your vindication, your elevation, your restoration is made public, not to humiliate others, but to show that he alone is sovereign, he alone is in control, he alone writes the final chapter. There will be seasons in your life where it seems like everyone has counted you out. Maybe you've been overlooked, pushed aside, misjudged, or even betrayed. People have spoken words over you that were full of doubt and mockery. They said you'd never make it. They questioned your calling, your capacity, your character. But in all of it, God was watching. He saw what they said, he saw what they did, and he also saw your heart, how you kept showing up, how you kept trusting him, how you kept praying and serving when no one saw the tears behind your smile. He took note of your quiet obedience, your patient endurance. And now he's preparing something. Table represents provision. It represents fellowship, honor, and celebration. But in this case, it's not a private dinner. It's not something set in the shadows. God says he's going to set this table in full view of your enemies, not so you can boast, but so they can witness. God wants those who doubted you to see you walk in the fullness of what he promised, not because you forced it, but because he ordained it. Not because you manipulated or hustled your way in, but because you waited on him. There's something powerful about being vindicated without ever having to defend yourself. When God vindicates you, the outcome speaks louder than any argument. Your success becomes your answer. Your fruit becomes your evidence. Your peace becomes your protest. And when God is the one who sets the table, no one can flip it over. No one can block your seat. No one can take your place. What he ordains, no man can undo. Think about Joseph, betrayed by his own brothers, sold into slavery, falsely accused and thrown into prison. It seemed like his dreams were dead. It looked like the story was over. But God was not finished. In one moment, God shifted everything and brought Joseph from the prison to the palace. And what happened? Those same brothers, his enemies, came and stood before him needing help, not even realizing who he had become. God didn't just rescue Joseph, he elevated him. And he did it in a way that made the very ones who hurt him see it. That's how God works. You may be in a low place right now. You may feel forgotten, misunderstood, or underestimated. But don't let that discourage you. Don't let the presence of enemies make you doubt the presence of God, because where there are enemies, there's a table. Where there's opposition, there's opportunity. If people are watching, it means God is setting something up for them to witness. And what they're going to witness is his faithfulness in your life. God is strategic. He doesn't just bless you for you. He blesses you to make a statement about his power, a statement about his timing, a statement about what happens when someone trusts him through the fire. When he brings you out, it's going to be public, it's going to be visible. And the ones who thought you were finished will have no choice but to see you standing, thriving, and seated at the table God prepared. So don't be bitter. Don't plot revenge. Don't waste your energy trying to prove people wrong. Just stay faithful, stay humble, stay focused, because your time is coming. The table is being set. And when it's ready, God will seat you in the presence of every voice that ever said you couldn't make it, and your life will say what your mouth never had to. There will always be people who don't believe in you. There will always be voices that tell you that you're not good enough, that you'll never make it, that you're too flawed, too weak, or too inexperienced to succeed. There will be those who try to sabotage your progress, undermine your confidence, and put obstacles in your way. It's part of life. But here's the truth you need to hold on to. Your enemies don't control your destiny. People may try to block you, discredit you, or delay your success, but they cannot determine your future. They may speak ill of you, throw accusations your way, or spread rumors, but their words have no power over your purpose. The opinions of others, no matter how loud or persistent, are not the authority in your life. Only God has the final say. The world will try to convince you that your destiny is shaped by the people around you, by your circumstances, or by your past. But that's a lie. Your destiny is not written by the mistakes of others, nor by the limits they try to place on you. It is written by the hand of God, and no person, no matter how powerful or influential, can erase the plan he has for you. But see, God doesn't consult your enemies when it comes to your destiny. He doesn't need their approval. They may try to tear you down, but they cannot stop the call on your life. They may want to silence you, but they can't shut you down. Their attempts to block your progress, no matter how hard they try, will always fall short when you are walking in God's purpose for your life. When God is for you, no one can be against you. No weapon formed against you will prosper. Your enemies may come at you in one way, but they will flee from you in seven. Think about the story of Daniel. He was a man of integrity and prayer, and his faithfulness to God made his enemies jealous. They conspired against him, manipulated the king, and got him thrown into a den of lions. The circumstances were grim. It seemed as though his destiny had been sealed, that the enemies who had plotted against him had won. But what they didn't realize was that they couldn't control his outcome. What they meant for harm, God turned for good. Daniel was preserved through the night, and when the king came to check on him the next morning, Daniel was unharmed, alive, and still walking in the favor of God. Your enemies may think they can stop you, but they don't have the power to override God's plan for your life. They can't change your destiny. They may try to discredit you, spread lies, or turn others against you, but it won't work because God is your vindicator. He sees everything that's being done in the shadows, and he's already preparing a way for you to rise above it. He's already working behind the scenes, turning what they meant for evil into something that will bring you closer to your purpose. And even if your enemies seem to gain the upper hand for a season, don't despair. Your story is not over. The enemy can only do so much. They may delay your promotion, they may cause pain or frustration, but they cannot stop your ultimate destiny. The Apostle Paul wrote in Romans 8:31, "If God is for us, who can be against us?" It's a rhetorical question. The answer is simple. No one, no person, no enemy, no circumstance can stand against the will of God. The only thing that can truly stop you is you. If you give up, if you lose faith, if you stop walking in alignment with His plan, that's where the real setback happens. But as long as you continue to trust Him, as long as you remain faithful to His calling, there's nothing that can stop the destiny He has prepared for you. Don't let the actions or words of your enemies dictate your emotions or your course of action. When people speak against you, when they try to block your progress, know that they are not the ones who determine your worth. God does. And when you walk in alignment with His purpose, you walk in His protection. Your identity is not found in the opinions of others, but in what God says about you. He calls you chosen. He calls you His beloved. He calls you redeemed. He calls you a victor, an overcomer, and a co-heir with Christ. Even in the face of opposition, God's purpose for your life remains unshaken. Look at the life of Jesus. He was rejected by the very people He came to save. His enemies plotted against Him, lied about Him, and ultimately crucified Him, but they could not control His destiny. In fact, the very thing they thought would end His mission, His death on the cross, was actually the vehicle through which God fulfilled His plan of redemption for all humanity. His purpose planned to be the vehicle through which God fulfilled His plan of redemption for all humanity. What the enemy intended for evil, God used for His glory. This is the same God who is working in your life today. He sees the opposition you face. He knows the attacks and the hardships, but He's not concerned by them. He knows that no matter what comes your way, His purpose will prevail. He is not intimidated by the schemes of the enemy. He is greater than any plot against you. His power is greater than any criticism, betrayal, or setback, and His plan for your life is greater than any obstacle that comes your way. So don't fear, don't be discouraged. Don't let the opinions of others cloud your vision. Your enemies may try to block you, but they cannot stop you. They may try to delay you, but they cannot prevent you. As long as you stay connected to God, as long as you walk in His will, you are unstoppable. God's purpose for your life is unshakable. And no person, no enemy, no force in this world can change that. When people come against you, remember that they don't control your destiny. God does. And His plans for you are always good. His love for you is unfailing. His purpose for you is unstoppable. Stay focused on Him, trust in His timing, and keep moving forward, because when it's all said and done, God's purpose will stand, and you will walk in the fullness of the destiny He has prepared for you. Rejection can feel like a crushing blow. It can wound your heart, challenge your confidence, and leave you questioning your worth. Whether it's being passed over for a promotion at work, not being accepted by a group you admire, or feeling invisible in relationships, rejection has a way of making you feel less than, like you're not good enough or valuable enough to be chosen. But what if I told you that rejection isn't the end of your story? What if it's just the beginning? Rejection is not something to fear or dread. It's often God's way of preparing you for something greater. We have this misconception that being rejected means we've been abandoned or that our dreams are being denied. But in reality, rejection can be a powerful tool in God's hands, shaping you, refining you, and positioning you for what He has planned in your life. Take, for example, the story of David. When the prophet Samuel came to anoint a new king over Israel, he went to the house of Jesse, David's father. Jesse had 7 sons, and he presented them to Samuel one by one, all strong, capable men. But when Samuel looked at each of them, he felt the Lord's rejection of each one. None of them were the one God had chosen. It wasn't until Samuel asked, "Are these all the sons you have?" that Jesse remembered David, the youngest son, who was out tending sheep in the field. David had been overlooked, rejected, and left out of the selection process. But when he was brought before Samuel, God immediately revealed that David was the one He had chosen. David's story is a beautiful reminder that being overlooked or rejected doesn't mean you've been forgotten. It doesn't mean you're unqualified or unworthy. In fact, it could very well be the very thing God is using to prepare you for something far greater than what you've been asking for. While others may have rejected you, God sees what others miss. He knows your heart, your potential, and your calling. Rejection is often God's way of narrowing the field, refining your focus, and preparing you for His purpose. Think about the times in your life when you've been overlooked or told no. Maybe you didn't get into the college you wanted, or the relationship you thought would last ended, or maybe someone passed you over for a job opportunity that you thought was meant for you. In those moments, it's easy to feel discouraged and even defeated. It can be tempting to believe that rejection equals failure or that you've been left behind. But God doesn't view rejection the same way we do. What feels like an obstacle in our eyes can be an opportunity in His. When He allows rejection, He's not punishing you, He's positioning you. In David's case, rejection didn't mean God had forgotten him or that He didn't have a plan for his life. In fact, God was doing something much more significant. He was working in the hidden, quiet places. While his brothers were being paraded before Samuel, David was in the field, learning how to be faithful with the small things, tending sheep, fighting off lions and bears, and being faithful to the task no one saw. In those quiet moments, God was preparing David's heart, building his strength, and giving him the courage and resilience he would need to lead a nation. What his brothers saw as a menial task, David saw as an opportunity to be faithful. And it was in that faithfulness that God saw his heart and knew he was ready to be king. God often uses rejection as a tool to refine us. When we face rejection, it forces us to grow, to rely more on Him, and to build the character and perseverance we need for the future He has for us. In David's case, God was not only preparing him to be a king in the future, but He was preparing him to be a leader of people, a man after God's own heart. The rejection David faced in the form of being overlooked by his father and brothers was, in fact, God's way of setting him apart for something greater. Sometimes we focus so much on the pain of rejection that we miss the lessons in it. God doesn't waste a moment, even the ones that feel painful. Every rejection, every no is part of the process of developing who we need to become to walk in the destiny he has for us. Think about Joseph, who was rejected by his brothers and thrown into a pit. He was later sold into slavery, falsely accused and imprisoned, yet every moment of rejection, every trial was preparation for the position of authority he would eventually hold in Egypt. Had he not been rejected and mistreated, he never would have been placed in the position to save a nation. God uses rejection to lead us to the places where we can fulfill his plan for us. Rejection also helps to remove the distractions and wrong opportunities that would otherwise pull us away from our true calling. Sometimes we get so focused on what we think we want that we can't see what God has in store for us. When doors close, we can either become bitter or choose to trust that God is redirecting us. He sees the bigger picture that we can't yet see. He knows what lies ahead, and sometimes rejection is the very thing that keeps us from walking into a situation that would hinder our growth or our purpose. God, in his wisdom, protects us from things that we can't yet understand. God doesn't waste rejection. He uses it as preparation. The same way he used David's time in the field, he uses our seasons of obscurity and rejection to shape us into who he needs us to be for what lies ahead. Those moments where you feel rejected or forgotten are actually moments where God is drawing near to you, shaping your heart, teaching you to trust him, and preparing you for the future he has planned. In those moments, remember that God sees what others miss. He sees your faithfulness when no one is watching. He sees the potential in you that others overlook. Rejection is not the end. It's the beginning of God's preparation for something far greater than what you imagined. Keep trusting, keep being faithful, and keep moving forward, because in God's time, your anointing will be revealed and your purpose will be made clear. Rejection will never define you. It's simply part of the process that God uses to bring you into your destiny. When God elevates you, it's tempting to want to prove a point, to show everyone who doubted you or mistreated you just how wrong they were. It's natural to want to rub your success in the faces of those who rejected you, ignored you, or even actively worked against you. But that's not God's way. In fact, true victory, the kind that comes from God, is best served with grace. The world often equates success with domination, with being louder, more aggressive, more visible than everyone else. We've been taught that if you rise to the top, you must do so at the expense of others, stepping on anyone who gets in your way. But God's kingdom operates differently. His definition of success is not about proving something to others, but about honoring him through humility and grace. When God blesses you, when he elevates you and takes you to new heights, it's not for you to gloat or seek revenge. It's for you to become a living testimony of his goodness, mercy, and faithfulness. Victory that comes from God is not about putting others down. It's about lifting them up. Think about Joseph, whose brothers sold him into slavery. They betrayed him, threw him into a pit, and abandoned him. Yet when Joseph rose to power in Egypt, when he had the chance to take revenge on those who had wronged him, he chose to forgive. In fact, he said to his brothers, "You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good to accomplish what is now being done, the saving of many lives." Genesis 50:20. Instead of lashing out, Joseph extended grace, understanding that his victory wasn't about his own glory, but about fulfilling God's purpose. God doesn't raise us up so we can boast or build ourselves up above others. When he promotes you, it's not to make others feel small. It's to show his greatness. It's an opportunity for you to be a reflection of his love, his patience, and his grace. How you handle your success can be a powerful witness to the world around you. If you respond with arrogance, bitterness, or a desire for revenge, it'll only serve to reinforce the world's idea that success is about winning at all costs. But if you respond with grace, your victory becomes a declaration that God's ways are higher, that he is bigger than any personal vendetta, and that his love transcends all. You don't need to defend yourself when God is elevating you. Your peace, your joy, and your success will speak louder than any argument or grudge. When God lifts you up, He does so in a way that makes it clear that it's His hand at work. People will see it and they won't need you to explain it. Your life will testify to the fact that God is faithful, that He sees the struggles, the heartaches, and the injustices, and that in His time He makes all things beautiful. The temptation to retaliate or to seek revenge is a powerful one. When people hurt you or try to hold you back, it's easy to let bitterness creep in. The flesh wants to demand justice, to get even, and to make sure that people know you're not someone to be trifled with. But that's not the heart of Christ. Jesus Himself faced the ultimate rejection, the ultimate injustice. He was falsely accused, beaten, and crucified, and yet He did not retaliate. He could have called down legions of angels to destroy His enemies, but instead He chose to forgive. He chose grace. Father, forgive them, for they do not know what they are doing. Luke 23:34. In His silence, in His refusal to take revenge, Jesus showed the world that victory is not in overpowering others. It's in showing mercy and love. Your victory, when it comes from God, will be a quiet testimony of His goodness. It won't need to be announced with fanfare or celebrated with loud declarations. It will be evident in your peace, in your ability to forgive, in your willingness to serve others, even when you've been wronged. True victory is humble. It doesn't need to belittle others to feel validated. It doesn't need to crush anyone beneath its feet. Instead, it invites others to witness God's grace at work, not just in your life, but in their lives too. Your success becomes a bridge for others to encounter the love and faithfulness of God. Think about the story of Esther. She was an orphaned Jewish girl who became queen in a foreign land, a position that seemed impossible given her background. But when the time came for her to act and save her people, she didn't take a position of pride. She didn't parade her status or use her position to elevate herself above others. Instead, she humbly petitioned the king and used her influence to bring about deliverance for her people. She could have chosen to make the moment about her about how far she had come, but instead she chose to act with humility, grace, and a desire to serve. The true measure of success is not in how many people you have defeated along the way, but in how many lives you've touched with God's love and grace. When God elevates you, it's not just for your benefit. It's so that you can be a vessel through which others can see His glory. Your peace, your joy, your ability to love those who hate you, and your willingness to forgive are the loudest testimonies of all. The victory God gives you isn't just for you to enjoy. It's for you to reflect His character to the world. So when God elevates you, resist the temptation to gloat or seek revenge. Instead, serve your victory with grace. Let your life be a testimony to His faithfulness and His goodness. Let your success point others to Him, not to you. And let your peace and joy speak volumes. Because when your heart is filled with the grace of God, that grace will overflow in every area of your life, drawing others to the very source of your victory, Him. The process of becoming who God has called you to be is rarely comfortable. It's often a journey marked by difficulty, isolation, and even opposition. While we all hope for smooth paths and quick breakthroughs, the truth is that the journey toward your destiny is often full of hardships. And in those moments of pain, disappointment, and waiting, it's easy to question God's plans. But what if the very things that feel like obstacles right now are actually the tools God is using to build your character and prepare you for the blessings He has ahead? Seasons where everything seems to be going wrong, when the doors don't open, the answers are delayed, or the promises feel unfulfilled. In these dark seasons, it's tempting to believe that God has forgotten you, or that you're being punished. But in reality, these times are often necessary. They are not detours from God's plan. They are part of the plan itself. God knows that in order for you to carry the weight of the calling He has on your life, you need to be refined and strengthened. Without the process, without the hard seasons, you wouldn't be equipped to walk in the fullness of your purpose. God is far more concerned with your development than your comfort. His goal is not to make life easy for you, but to build your character and prepare you for the life that lies ahead. Comfort may feel good in the moment, but it does little to strengthen you. It doesn't develop resilience, perseverance, or depth. In fact, it can often lull you into complacency, causing you to miss the lessons that are only learned in the valleys. The process, while painful, is necessary because it teaches you things that success alone cannot. Think about the life of Joseph. His story is a powerful reminder of how God uses the pain of the process to position us for greater things. Joseph was betrayed by his brothers, thrown into a pit, sold into slavery, and later falsely accused of a crime he didn't commit. For years, he lived in a state of abandonment and loneliness, wondering if God had forgotten him. Yet through all of it, Joseph was being refined. Each moment of rejection, each betrayal, each hardship was molding him into the man who would eventually rise to power in Egypt and save his family from famine. Joseph didn't know it at the time, but all the pain he endured was preparing him to step into his destiny. His time in Potiphar's house, his time in prison, these were not setbacks, but stepping stones. God was shaping his character, teaching him how to handle success with humility, how to lead with wisdom, and how to forgive those who wronged him. Joseph's journey shows us that God doesn't waste pain. Every trial, every dark season is part of the process that leads us closer to the purpose he has for us. The silence and the waiting are also essential parts of the process. In our fast-paced world, we often expect immediate results. We pray and we want an answer now. We take steps of faith and we want to see the fruit immediately. But often God works in the quiet, in the waiting. It's in those moments of silence that he is doing the deep work in our hearts. When nothing seems to be happening on the surface, God is preparing us beneath the surface, deepening our roots and strengthening our foundation. The waiting period can be painful because we long for validation, for affirmation, for progress. But it's in the waiting that God refines our motives and develops our patience. He teaches us to trust him, even when we don't see immediate results. Think about the story of David. He was anointed to be king as a young boy, but he didn't immediately step into that role. Instead, he spent years as a shepherd, then as a servant in King Saul's court, then on the run from Saul, who wanted to kill him. David's anointing didn't come with immediate elevation. It came with years of being hidden and tested, but through all of it, God was shaping David's heart, teaching him how to lead, how to handle adversity, and how to trust God's timing. The pain and the process were necessary for David to be the kind of king God could trust with his people. Without the process, we wouldn't be ready for the weight of the blessings. Blessings are not just rewards, they are responsibilities. The bigger the blessing, the greater the responsibility. If we are not properly prepared, we can't handle the weight. If Joseph had not been prepared in the pit and in the prison, he would not have been able to carry the responsibility of overseeing all of Egypt during a time of famine. If David had not spent years in the wilderness learning how to be both a warrior and a servant, he would not have been the king that Israel needed. The same is true for us. If we are not willing to walk through the process, if we aren't willing to endure the pain and the pruning, we won't be able to carry the weight of what God has for us. Our character must be developed, our faith must be deepened, and our trust in God must be strengthened so that when the spotlight comes, we can handle the responsibility with grace and wisdom. God knows that the process, though painful, is necessary. It's in those moments of difficulty and opposition that our character is forged. It's in the moments of silence that we learn to lean on him and trust his timing. It's in the trials that we are refined and made into the people God can use to bring glory to his name. And when the time comes for you to step into your blessing, you will be ready, not because you've been through easy seasons, but because you've walked through the fire and come out stronger. The dark seasons are not the end. They are the beginning of something greater. The silence is not a sign that God is distant. It's the space where he is doing his deepest work. The opposition is not meant to defeat you. It's meant to strengthen you. Trust the process. Embrace the pain and know that God is using every moment to prepare you for the future he has promised. When you are elevated, when you rise to the place you've dreamed of, it can be easy to think that your success is for your own enjoyment or fulfillment. After all, you've worked hard, endured trials, and faced challenges. You may feel like you've earned the right to